people, not you. I mean, maybe you. Also, my chair's stuck, so now I'm unstuck. There is always a point. I'll try and avoid that, kind of like, an illegal trying to avoid ice. I'm super selfish in so many ways. Also, I have no interest whatsoever in playing games like that. I'm never doing any of that. Is a huge red flag. I've been sick for a ridiculous amount of time. Drowned or suffocated to death. Nobody has ever heard but me. So now I'm this huge ball of anxiety. But it is a should do. What the hell did he just say?
Hard Rock Lunchbox.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome one and all to another edition of the Hard Rock Lunchbox. Of course, if you're watching on Strangerhood TV on YouTube, welcome, my friends, to the top 20. It feels possibly that summer has arrived in the Northeast. Yes, I know we don't usually start the box with weather conversations, but over the past couple of months, it seemed prudent. It is looking like bright and sunny, 85 degrees. It is June 12th, 2025, year of our Lord. Just in time for us to hit the summer solstice and days started getting shorter again. Yay! We made it. In my defense, I'm only a minute late today because I forgot to turn on the record button. Yes. I have very few things I need to do here to get stuff working, and yet I find new and interesting ways to not do those most weeks. Also, my chair's stuck, so now I'm unstuck. But that's not important. What is important is that we're here, and as long as we're not protesting ICE raids, I guess we're relatively safe. That's interesting. What's going on, huh? Yeah. Super interesting. I'll try and avoid that. Kind of like, an illegal trying to avoid ice. See? That was a joke that is timely and topical. And that is why the top 20 is one of the two biggest shows on Strangerhood TV. That's actually factually true, because it is one of only two shows on Strangerhood TV, and therefore, whatever, it doesn't matter. Let me turn this up. That's not good. Let me give you a little bit of a boost there. All right, cool. So let's start, shall we, with some light housekeeping? Yeah, why not? So there's a brand new top 20 out. I thought it was a super clever title, if I do say so myself. It is DJ Takes an Interest in Interest. And I talk about how to budget a country, because I'm talking about our national debt and how stupid it really is to just keep adding to our national debt at the behest of reducing taxes, and not reducing taxes a lot for people like you and me. I understand that rich people don't want to pay more taxes, but since I don't care about them currently, that's not my problem. And as I work in this world to be more selfish, even though apparently I am super selfish in so many ways, I am working to be more self-aware and not as magnanimous and like, let's save the world kind of thing. I'm trying to be a little bit more pragmatic and practical. I think it's a really good idea to maybe just buckle down and pay off the debt if we can, and then take all that savings. But if you're interested in that, check out the new episode of the Top 20. I also talk about the fact that our president doesn't read, and where $3.6 trillion actually is coming from. I thought it was a super good episode. I did keep it around 20 minutes, which is rare for me lately. I am going to try and do the same, mainly because I've got some other stuff going on, but also, to be perfectly honest, I am incredibly nervous about tonight, but I'll get to that in just a minute. In Revel 9 news, I will be playing the Long Island Songwriter Spotlight tonight at McBride's that our very own Donna has set up. It's going to be me, Jimmy G, and James from Pathmaker. And then there's an open mic night afterwards. That should be fun. The Revel 9 news will be up in Hartford at the end of this month. And then we'll be back at Whiskey Rocks early in July. But we're also releasing a brand new single, It's All Right, on July 4th. And despite the title, it doesn't actually mean that everything's all right. It just sorta is what it is, which is another song that you might have found from Revel 9. In case you're wondering, my health has rapidly improved. Thank you very much. Although that round of antibiotics definitely did a number on my system, I am finally starting to recover from that, it would seem. I've also had some other recent diagnoses that I am mitigating as best I can, and that seems to be going well as well. So that's it kind of for Revel 9. I will say I had a rehearsal the other night. It was just me and Noodle. Kaz was out. Tony has missed now his 4th practice in a row, which is an exceptional number of practices. So I think just as much as anybody else, is going to be interested to see how he does at the show at the end of the month, considering we're doing a brand new song in that set, so that ought to be interesting. Bacon is my podcast. Now, this one did catch my eye. They talk about announcements and, our cliches dying online. I have got to tell you, I have hated seems like a strong word. I have been bothered by, hey, we're going to have an announcement soon. I don't know why exactly it bothered me, but it did bother me. And I think there's a part of it, it's like, I don't have time to play games like that. And also, I have no interest whatsoever in playing games like that. Like, if you have an announcement, make the announcement. Like, announce a thing for sure, and then we can build up to the thing. I do my stuff here, like I let you know what's going on in Revel 9 because I am in Revel 9 and it's part of my promotional job, but I'm never like, hey, I've got an announcement about an announcement. I announce a thing, right? So, I could not agree more with that. Also, they have a bit about helping others and responsibility or boundary. That is a super interesting thing because and also the next one, which is don't take it personally, managing stress and staying objective. So those two things for me are kind of intertwined. I have a lot of trouble with boundaries. I feel like I don't have boundaries for boundaries' sake. I have kind of like self-preservatory boundaries and stuff like that. When I'm actively trying to protect me or trying to protect something or trying to mitigate, things in the world that are happening. I don't know exactly where that comes from. In therapy, I've discussed it a lot. Like, if we want to get into my own personal secondhand therapy, like, we've talked about, like, and you'll see this. I mean, maybe I'll see this because I have completely destroyed most of my feeds by clicking on the wrong thing. But there is a lot about, the way you show up in the world. Like, there's a couple of factors that go into it primarily, right? There's one is how you were treated in various situations. Now, most of these tend to go back to, like, childhood, right? Like, that's kind of famously, like, you talk about, like, cycles and especially like cycles of abuse. Like, it is super common for abused children to become abusers themselves, right? Because it's just learned behavior. Now, there's the other way, which is you are, basically trained and taught to be a certain way by your parents and adults around you, and then you're like, I'm never doing any of that. I tend to be a prime example of that sort of thing. Like, if my parents did it, like, I will be shocked if I do it. Like, that's just kind of one of the things about me, and it's one of the paths. So a lot of the way you show up in the world really is about how you were brought into this world, like how you were formed as a human, right? So, but the other way a lot of people show up in the world, and this is the point I was trying to get at, is that not you, I mean, maybe you, but people will often show up in the world the way they wish somebody had shown up for them in the world, right? And you'll see these, they have a name, but these thought posts, right? And they'll say those things. Like, it's if you arrive and you display yourself in the world the way you wish you had been treated, like, that is a huge accomplishment. But it's also it's not necessarily always the right thing for everybody else, right? It's just really about the way you are. So, like, if you translate that into my existence, what I desperately wanted growing up as a child, an adolescent, and then a young teenager, like, I just needed protection. Like, that's what I needed, and it just never came. Like, my parents, like, did not offer any sort of protection from anything. So I found out at a very young age that I had to protect those things around me that were important. And I made tons of mistakes, right? Like, and to this day, I still make mistakes because I get hyper-focused on things and I don't see the forest for the trees. And I actually heard someone like I think it was on a TV show, they said they didn't understand that expression. I don't know that that's my listening audience, but if you don't understand seeing the forest for the trees, it means when you're so close to something, all you can really see is a couple of trees. You can't actually tell that you're in a forest, right? So you don't necessarily see the entire picture or the whole world around the situation that you're in. Sometimes you just get so tunnel visioned and your focus gets so narrow that all you can really see is the 3 feet in front of you. A lot of people, like in the military, will refer to like their 3-foot world because it's really all you can focus on. Now, in those cases, it's usually a matter of life and death. That's why it's important. And maybe like SEAL team members can't always be worried so much about the grander geopolitical, rationale or things surrounding their actions because they need to stay alive. They need to focus on a mission. Now, I have no military training, but I definitely resonate with that because there's a lot of stuff where I do where it's just like, man, I have to do this thing. And then I just I don't ignore it like purposefully, but I am able to not see everything, right? So that is definitely something I do. So in terms of helping others with this responsibility or boundary, like, I'm interested to see what they have to say, because when it comes to something that I have deemed that I shall protect, there are no boundaries. There just aren't. Like, there's internal boundaries, like, okay, I'm not letting this in, I'm not letting this in, I'm not letting this in. I'm not going to let anything destroy this thing that I have deemed to be precious. Like, that is very true. And it's just, it's not intentional so much, it's just a function of the way that I exist. And as my therapist likes to point out, it's taken a few decades to get all this effed up. It's going to take probably a few decades to unwind all that. So I am doing my best. Thank you for not asking. I'm already tired. So tonight, I've been going through a very interesting thing with this Unplugged show. And it's because a group of errors, like a calamity of errors, plus a whole lot of other situational things are making this show particularly difficult for me. Like, I'm in a much better place than I was earlier in the week and I was last week, for sure. I am not super great at, like, sort of acceptance, but there does come a point in every situation that I'm in with, sort of like emotional components and stuff. There is always a point where I will reach some sort of level of acceptance, and I have crossed into that about this show, which is good because a lot just sort of falls away. For me with shows, and I've talked to Jimmy about this, because Jimmy actually does this the exact opposite of me, and like, sometimes I look at the way Jimmy handles life in terms of being in a band and stuff, and I am just so envious of that ability. But there's good and bad sides to both things. Like, we've talked a number of times where Jimmy, he, on the day of a show, like, after you pass a certain point, like, I don't think he would mind me sharing this, and I hope he doesn't, but like, after he passes a certain point, it just doesn't matter, right? Like, there's no anxiety or whatever or anything like that. And that's a really good thing, because the day of the show, you get this sort of freedom. Now, I'm experiencing something like that, but what I am shifting into is my normal, which is the day of the show. Now I'm just nothing but nervous about the performance. I have incredible stage fright. I have a lot of social anxiety, and I'm just worried about performing. Like, I just am. I would love to be in a situation where it's like, well, it's too late now, and just kind of go through it. But I'm trying to embrace those things, like, when that kind of happens, and that has kind of happened for me at this point, because what I've been experiencing over the past couple of weeks that I've been rehearsing for this show. First of all, I used to play Unplugged shows all the time. Anybody that remembers the Long Island Rock Unplugged knows that I played every other month at the bare minimum, right? So I was always well rehearsed in terms of I could just pull on a song that I had done recently and just do a quick refresher, but kind of get it back. It has been about 18 months since I've played Unplugged. It has also been an extremely long time since I have felt the desire to just pick up an acoustic guitar and play it all. Now, that is a manifestation that is a manifestation of the way that my particular brand of depression presents. And it sucks. Like, you know, one of the things that I have to work on is the simple fact that I just don't want to do things that normally and objectively I enjoy and have enjoyed most of my life. The fact that I don't ever feel like picking up a guitar and playing or singing or whatever is a huge red flag for my presentation of depression. So I've been having that. With that has come a unexpected inability to play as well as I normally play. I have been dealing with some bouts of arthritis. Usually that is caused by gluten for me, which is a weird presentation, I admit, which is why it took so long to figure out. So I have been virtually gluten-free for at least a week, and it has eased, but there are also some inflammatory things that I'm taking medicinally and pharmaceutically that are really wreaking havoc with my knuckles, and I am having an incredibly tough time physically playing guitar. Also, as you know, anybody listening to this show, I've been sick for a ridiculous amount of time. And as I said, I'm kind of over it. Like, it's out of my chest, which is awesome. Because I spent weeks gasping for air, which is super uncomfortable. Like, anybody that's ever drowned or suffocated to death would know that. And that's kind of what it felt like. So I'm glad that that's over. But also, as my cold exits the building, it is still, you can kind of hear it in my very nasally way I'm talking. I'm clearing my throat constantly, as gross as that is. I'm sorry about that. But it has also taken off a little bit of my ability to sing, which sucks. I did rehearse the other night, Tuesday night, and I was able to sing a full set. Yeah, a couple of cracks and stuff like that, but because an Unplugged show is just a little bit different and there's more of a focus, I have opted to cut a lot of songs out of what would be my normal set that are just simply too high for me to sing. I did add a couple in that have some high parts. I have tried to change all those vocal lines as much as possible, so I don't have a problem doing an alternative version at all. In fact, I love doing alternative lyrical versions, melody versions, because that usually will spur ideas for backups down the road. So that's fine, but I've really been working at that. And I'm doing a whole bunch of newer material that I've never actually played acoustically. I mean, there's some that I have and some staples that I've done. But because of that, I have this level of familiarity, this level of unfamiliarity with the material I'm playing, which for somebody like me that really believes in just rehearsing and rehearsing and rehearsing and rehearsing, and my band will back that up. Like, I am somebody that really drills a set so that it is good as it possibly can be. For me to be this personally unprepared, and it's not that I haven't done the work, I just am very unprepared because I'm out of shape from playing acoustically. I am out of shape physically because my hands hurt. I am out of shape because my voice is not where it's supposed to be. And also, I'm having this other thing, and I have not figured out what the direct cause is. Anybody that knows me personally and has heard me speak about this in private this will sound familiar. But I have been having such a problem. It's not quite ADHD, but I am having an incredible problem with focus. So that I am not necessarily able to remember what I just did. If I'm not paying super attention or writing it down or with an incredible amount of intent, I am not able to remember what it is. And the way that is manifesting in my Unplugged set now is the fact that I am reverting to old versions of lyrics, which is hella disturbing. Like, it's further back in my memory, and yet that is what is opting to come forward. And it's just so upsetting. Like, I've been doing it all week. Like, there's one song in my set tonight where I am literally singing the original words that nobody has ever heard but me. I mean, like, I don't know that anybody's going to care because it's an unplugged show, but if anybody is singing along, they're going to be like, what the hell did he just say? Which isn't horrible, but it's anxiety producing for me. So now I'm this huge ball of anxiety going into this show, which means one of two things. Either I'm going to give one of the performances of my life in a good way, or I'm going to give one of the performances of my life in a bad way. So I don't really know what to expect. That is also anxiety producing. So I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do my absolute best, but I really have no idea what's going to happen later. And that is just, it is not a comfortable spot to be in. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to, playing these songs acoustically, because theoretically it is something I enjoy doing, and I'm hoping there'll be some sort of spark that gets me back into it, because that would be nice for me. And it's just one of those things that I recognize as not a have to, and it may not even necessarily be a want to at this stage, but it is a should do. It is a should, because I think it has some real value for me personally as a human being going through all the things I'm going through, but also me as a musician at the, later stages of my career. Like, I want to keep doing this. And even though it seems internally that sometimes I don't, my spirit, my persona, my whole entity knows that I do. And so it feels like one of those things I just need to push through and do. And I'm hoping for the best. So, yeah, your host is a mess. That is not new. That is not news. But that is what's happening on this side of the microphone. So I guess we'll all see later. I'm looking forward to it. There's going to be 3 really good performances, myself included. We're going to hear songs that we really all like hearing. There's going to be an open mic night afterwards. I have no idea what to expect at those. I couldn't even tell you the last time I was at an open mic. So maybe we'll see something. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll see everything. Maybe we won't. But I think it'll be a good time. Music kicks off around 8 p.m. tonight at McBride's in Belmore. I'm going to get there a little early to help Donna set up, make sure that we've got gear. I'm going to bring extra gear. It looks like everybody's chipping in like gear to make sure we have everything that we need. And so this could be the start of something really, really great. And I am super happy to be a part of that, and honored, honestly, to be a part of that too. So that's going to be great. And whoever shows up tonight, great. Don't feel obliged. It is for fun. Like, we're doing this for fun. This is not one of those high pressure things. I don't think anybody's going to get a record deal, from this place, but you also never know. But, I don't think any of us are putting any pressure on anybody. It's going to be fun, just like the Unplugs always were. And if you're interested in fun, you should be there. And that's my pitch. So I've talked enough. I managed to avoid politics, which is, to me, an incredible feat. But let's get on with the rest of the box. I've got some local music for you, as I always do at the beginning of the show. This one happens to be brand new from the Space Turtles, a regular staple on the box. They sent me this just the other day, so I grabbed it for you. And, that's how we're going to start it this week. It's Can't Wait for Tomorrow. It's on the box.